All right, what is up, guys? What is up? Let's talk about UFC 275. What a crazy fight card. Overall, man, I thought it was great. I really did. Last fight of the night, probably one of the absolute best fights that we've ever seen in the light heavyweight division. Quite a few things to talk about, but I just want to focus on the strawweight fight, which is Weili versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Then I want to focus on the flyweight co-main event, which is Valentina Shevchenko versus Santos. That fight was very interesting to me. And then, of course, Glover Teixeira versus Jiri Prohashka. We'll talk about that. Starting things off with Weili versus Joanna. Weili was operating at a much higher level in this fight, and I say it because it's not like this was a version of Joanna that's not good. Like Joanna, you can definitely tell just from her physique, attitude, the way she was fighting, she came in good. Like she trained really hard for the fight. She came very prepared. Of course, she already had an experience fighting Weili, so she already knew exactly what to expect. I mean, that was a tough fight for her to take the fight again. Really impressive, but it just seemed right off the bat that Weili was so much better, just a step ahead of her. Of course, with the grappling in the first round, it's not surprising to see Joanna get out grappled. We've seen that happen before. When Joanna fought Valentina Shevchenko, we did see that on display. Especially when she's facing someone that's stronger than she is, she can get out grappled. So seeing that was not much of a surprise. But man, round number two, the way the fight ended. I wouldn't say that it's a surprise seeing Joanna get put out, get put away. We've seen that before, right? Like we've seen her get put away by Rose Namajunas, but there's something different about seeing a fighter face down on the octagon, out cold. There's something eerie about that, and I think that finish also like might have struck a nerve for a lot of people because we just saw Tony Ferguson go through something very similar. So it's just like, man, like all these fighters, a lot of these fighters that we're not used to seeing get put away like that. Like they're getting put away flat out, face down on the canvas. Now what happened? Well, round number two was going pretty decently. Joanna was trying to get back into the fight. She was trying to use her striking. Weili has done a very good job recently of fighting off her back foot. Like it's something that it's a skill set that she has developed very recently. We saw that as well on display against Rose Namajunas, fighting off the back foot, doing a very good job with that. So Joanna tried to go in. She fired off a combination, a boxing combination. Weili threw a front leg side kick to the body just as a way to keep Joanna away. And then that is a very good kick to follow up with the spinning back fist, because a lot of times when fighters throw that, it does put them out of position or it creates an angle for their opponent. And a very good way for the fighters deal with that angle, that new angle that the opponent gains, is to throw a back fist, kind of like a check. It's just like, hey, if it lands, great. If it doesn't, whatever. At least I'm using that to check, to protect this angle that I just gave up. You see fighters do that as well when they throw like a roundhouse to the body or even a roundhouse to the head, and it whiffs and the fighter does a full 360. A lot of times they'll follow up with that spinning back fist just in case the opponent tries to enter the pocket and take advantage of the fact that they are completely out of position. So that is what Weili did. Threw that side kick, spun around with the spinning back fist, landed absolutely brilliant right behind the ear. Some people were saying it was behind the head. It's not. It was just right behind the ear. It is a completely legal shot. And it just completely just blasted Joanna, man. Put her down, canvas, face down, and that was it. That was it. I think the saddest part about it is that, Joanna retired on the spot. It's just, oh my God, man. I talked about this in the fighter showcase I did for Joanna. Like when you think about the women's strawweight division, when you think about the one name that stands out is Joanna Jędrzejczyk. It really does. When she was champion, she carried that belt in such a dominant way that like it's so hard not to it's so hard not to think of her, right, when you think of the women's strawweight division, and to think that this is the last time we're going to see her compete in the octagon. There's a sadness to that, but also, it's very good, man. It's very good when fighters decide, what it is, what it is. I'm just gonna bounce, as opposed to just losing over and over and over again. So she decided, this is it. I've done everything I wanted to do in the sport. I was successful in Muay Thai. I was successful in the octagon. Now she's gonna go try to do something else. So, great career to Joanna. She's gonna be missed. An amazing, amazing performance and great win for Weili. Looking forward to seeing her versus the champion, Carla Esparza. That's going to be a very good one. Now, moving on to Valentina Shevchenko versus Taila Santos. I was saying in the Fighter Showcase that I did for Valentina Shevchenko, I was saying this is one of those fights that could end up being far more competitive than a lot of people think. And when it happens, generally what happens is people start thinking, man, is Valentina... maybe Valentina is not as good as we all thought she is. No, she is. The problem is her opponents in her weight class, they're watching her, man. Taila Santos is 19-2. You know what I mean? She's good. And she's been watching Valentina Shevchenko. They've studied her, and before this fight, she was talking about how she sees holes in Valentina's striking, how she sees holes in her grappling. She definitely shows some goddamn holes in Valentina's grappling, 100%. And it almost seems like this is like sort of holes that has been exposed before by Amanda Nunes. Pretty much anytime Valentina Shevchenko goes to try to grapple someone that is stronger than she is, she ends up in really, really bad positions, right? And a lot of that is because of the sort of takedown that she enjoys going for. Now, I'm not a wrestler, but I do wrestle quite a bit these days. And I know that when you start attacking upper body takedowns against an opponent that is stronger than you, it's harder to mess with your balance. It's harder to kazushi when you're attacking upper body takedowns. And that is the sort of takedown that Valentina Shevchenko really likes. She likes getting a hold of her opponents, getting a nice tight body lock, and then dragging them to the ground. Now, of course, the best sort of takedown to use against someone that is stronger than you are takedowns that forces them to balance on like one leg. So single legs are very good because you force them to have to balance. You can kazushi a lot better. You take them one way, a different direction, and eventually maybe you can trip them. But Valentina Shevchenko, she's not really the type to shoot a lot of single legs. Also, a lot of her takedowns are like momentum takedowns, right? So like opponent rushes in, Valentina crashes into him, grabs that body lock, and then muscles him to the ground. She also gets a lot of takedowns against the cage, and she attempted that against Taila Santos. She got her body lock, pinned her against the cage for a while, had good head position, attempted to drag her down to the ground, but Taila was able to counter that and ended up on top. And this happened over and over and over and over again. Valentina will try to get her down. She gets reversed. And so just in the first round, I mean, she had her back taken, man. Had her back taken with a body triangle locked in. Excuse me. Back taken, body triangle locked in. And it seemed very, very close, man. Like at some points it was like, yo, Taila is going to lock in this choke. And it, like watching it didn't really seem like Taila was seriously trying to crank on the choke unless she can get it underneath. And this is something that you do see with grapplers sometimes. They want to get a clean choke, so they try to get the hand underneath the neck to try to make sure it's under the neck before cranking. Because there are a few times she had it across the jaw, and she could have really, really cranked on it. And if she would have caused I keep saying Joanna, why? If she would have caused Valentina Shevchenko enough pain, she probably would have tapped to that. But she never really went for a neck crack. And so going into round number 2 was close, I would say. it definitely was close. I scored round number 2 for Tyler Santos, but I understand completely why some people might have scored round number 2 for Valentina Shevchenko. She had the better striking. She did more damage on the feet. And if you take a look at the scorecards right now, it does favor damage. Also, because when Tyler will get the fight to the ground, she wasn't really doing much damage on the ground. I mean, it could even be argued that Valentina Shevchenko was doing more damage while having her back taken. I mean, she was like just punching while her back was taken. So it could even be argued she did more damage while being in a very disadvantageous position on the ground. But if you're the type that favors control or whatever, then you could say that Tyler Santos won round number 2. So it was most likely 1-1. Round number 1, 100% goes to Tyler. Round number 2, debatable. I scored it for Tyler, but again, completely understand if you scored it for Valentina. No argument from me there whatsoever. Round number 3, I don't remember exactly what happened in round number 3. I need to go back and watch the fight. But going into round number 5, a lot of people had it 2-2, right? A lot of people had it Valentina won rounds number 3 and round number 4, and then Tyler won rounds number 1 and round number 2. That's how a lot of people had it. I had it 3-1. Again, no argument from me. We don't have to freaking die on this hill, guys. No argument from me whatsoever if you scored round number 2 for Valentina. But I had it 3-1 going into round number 5. And I was thinking, man, Valentina absolutely needs a finish to win this fight. She really needs to stop this girl to win. And then when she didn't, I mean, she won round number 5 in a pretty clean way. I didn't think it was a 49-46, like one of the judges scored it, but I think it was a clear round number 5 win for Valentina Shevchenko. And she ends up getting a decision. One judge scored it 49-46, which is just, it's a head scratcher. I love Valentina Shevchenko. She's my favorite female fighter. But do I think she won any of those rounds 49-46? I definitely don't think that, but I am willing to listen to you guys' argument in the comment section below if you thought so. So, just like that, Valentina secures the win, holds on to her title, but man, that was close. That was a close one, man. It was so freaking close. If she would have given up one more round, that would have been it. She had her back taken multiple times. In one of those back takes, she could have been submitted. It's just, it's tough. It really is, but she might need to try to find a way to separate herself from the pack even more. Because these girls are coming for her, man. Maybe she's going to need to try to get a bit stronger. Maybe adjust the way she tries to get fights to the ground. If she feels like she's facing an opponent that's a bit stronger than her, maybe going for a different type of takedown might be more valuable as opposed to just sticking with the body lock style takedowns. Because again, you're in there with someone that's stronger than you. It's so much harder to perform. And now we move on. We move on to Glover Teixeira versus Jiri Prochazka, which is probably right up there with John Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson. Like, a lot of people are saying it's probably the best fight in the light heavyweight division right now. I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, we still have Dan Henderson versus Shogun in the light heavyweight division. Of course, we got John Jones versus Gustafsson, but this fight was definitely up there with one of the best fights we've just ever seen in the UFC, period. Ridiculous back and forth. The fight was so good, I didn't even score it. So if you guys ask me, hey, who do you think won round number 1? I don't know. I didn't score the fight at all. I was just glued to my TV. I wasn't even tweeting during that fight because there was so much going on, man. They were exchanging blows on the feet. Jiri with that just very awkward style of fighting. Really good stance switching. Stays very low. Will blitz into the pocket in really in a very fast way. Glover himself staying very patient. He was taking some shots, but consistently looking for the takedown. Glover mounted him multiple times. Wasn't able to close the show. Took us back a couple times. had top position multiple times, but Jiri was just always able to reverse position. Now, you could say that Glover got kind of sloppy with some of his top control, like not securing top position properly before trying to rain down ground and pound. But that would also do disservice to what Mr. Prohashka was able to accomplish, because he was able to reverse so many of those positions. This is one of those fights that just me trying to describe what happened would just not do it any service whatsoever. So definitely go check out the main event if you haven't seen it. It was an incredible fight. But of course, in round number 5, Glover Teixeira had top position, had the Mao, was raining down blows, and somehow gave up position, somehow lost the position. I don't even remember how it happened. The fight was just pure chaos. But at some point, he lost position. Jiri was able to have Glover, there was some back exposure. Jiri got on his back. He didn't even have both hooks locked in. But he secured an arm around Glover Teixeira's neck, squeezed, and Glover Teixeira tapped. Would he have tapped to that same exact choke in round number 1? Maybe. I think highly unlikely. But at this point, Glover was already exhausted, bloodied, tired. Just it's been, at that point, it had been a very, very tough fight. I'm not saying he gave up on himself. I'm just saying, when you're that exhausted, having someone's arm around your neck, it makes everything infinitely worse. Like, catching your breath, you really do feel like, man, if you don't tap, if you don't get out of this choke right now, there could be some serious damage done. Like, it feels like death. Like, I felt that, man. It's like it's a panic. I hate using those words to describe someone like Glover Teixeira, because Glover is such a high-level elite fighter who's been through everything there is to go through in a fight. He has so much experience. So for me to even use the word panic to describe him is completely wrong. But all I'm saying is, just with how tired he was, I understand why he tapped to that. That wasn't a technically correct rear naked choke. That's the point I'm trying to make. And just like that, we have a brand new light heavyweight champion of the world. The light heavyweight division has just been weird since John Jones left, man. Titles changing hands, man. Like, John Jones leaves, Jan Wachowicz gets the belt, Glover gets the belt, now Jiri gets the belt. It's like, bro, like, dude, is he going to be able to defend it? Who the hell knows? Like, how long is Prohashka going to be able to hold the belt? Who knows? It's just, they're just literally just exchanging the belt at this point. And it'll be very nice to see one of them rise above the rest and just be dominant in that weight class. I think, or maybe this makes the weight class more interesting for you guys. I don't know. For me, not really. I love having a dominant champion in a weight class as opposed to like the belt changing hands every time. I find that just not as interesting. But that is it, man. Really amazing fight card. UFC 275 definitely delivered. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought about the card. What did you guys think about it? Who do you think won the co-main event? Really curious to see how you guys scored the fight. And I will see you guys later with a brand new one. As always, stay safe. Peace out. Have a good one, boys. Losing my light in here.